I think that we're now 3 minutes in. Hopefully, we'll have Yitzhak join us shortly. He's important. He's going to be going over shipping. So while we're getting started here, let me just say thank you so much for joining us today. I'm David Eskenazi. Welcome to the Aliyah Network shipping event. This is the second of a series of 4 Aliyah Network events that we've been covering recently. So we did just the communities. Obviously, today we're doing shipping and what to expect in your new home. Please put yourself on mute, by the way. If you're going to be talking, we can't hear you. Let me admit somebody. We're going to be doing mortgages and real estate law explained. It's coming up in a little bit. And finally, understanding the Israeli healthcare system. So be sure to keep an eye out for all of those. That'd be great. If there's a topic that you would like to learn more about, of course, please feel free to share in the chat below, or you can always contact us at aliyahnetworkevents@gmail.com. As you know, we are recording this and we'll be making it available for those who could not make it here today.
Eskenazi from the Aliyah Network. The Aliyah Network is a support group of real people who have made Aliyah or in the process of making Aliyah. We come together as a group to offer information, inspiration, support, and advice. When you make Aliyah, we want you to know that you are not alone. We are here to help you. I'm also a realtor in the North, Israel North Properties, and I represent properties primarily in the Western Galil.
Okay, so often we get questions about things like, do I bring a lift? Can I find such and such in Israel? How far in advance do I have to schedule a lift? How do I manage when I'm waiting for my lift to arrive? All these questions are coming up, especially with Aliyah applications on the rise. We're hearing these questions more and more. So we decided to put this event together and to invite my good friend, Yitzhak Sasson from Aliyah Lift Shipping, to really discuss, all the ins and outs of shipping to Israel. So Yitzhak was born and raised in Detroit. Yitzhak made Aliyah with his wife and 4 kids from Miami back in 2009, and he currently lives in Ma'alot. And Marcy, if you could just introduce Marlene, that'd be great.
Also today, we are delighted to have Marlene Zussman from Intuitive Interior Design. Marlene made Aliyah 25 years ago from Maryland, and she's here to discuss the possibility of furnishing your home from within Israel. She'll give us tips and advice for shopping and designing your new home in Israel.
Okay, so make sure that everybody can just please mute your microphones. Just so we can not have too many interruptions. Also, please feel to, use the chat feature here on the Zoom during the discussion with any kind of points or questions you have, and we'll try to make sure that we cover those as well.
Before we get started, today marks the 106th day of the war. We just want to say that our hearts and prayers go out to all those affected by the war. We are all in this together, and of course, our prayers for the safety of all of our soldiers and a safe return of our hostages. We feel now more than ever it's important to open the doors to Aliyah and to bring out as much help and information as possible. May Hashem help all of us to unite even closer and to bring all of us home.
Great. So just to jump, amen. Just to jump right into then, before we get started, I understand that Yitzhak has prepared a presentation. I'd like to ask, those who are here with us today who are, currently thinking about shipping and all these questions. We'd like just to open the floor up to any questions you might have now, even before we do this presentation, if you don't mind. So anybody, I know Lair, you had some. Anybody want to jump in? Please do so.
Yeah. Hi, Yitzhak. I remember you as BH. I remember you as BH from before. It took us about 5 hours to figure that out. Yeah. So I'm glad you're doing this topic. So. In order to make Aliyah and have a date of when we're gonna go, it seems logical to me to work backwards of knowing when I wanted to arrive in Israel on my Aliyah. I need to work backwards to know how long it takes to ship. I'm in Miami, so how long it takes to ship our stuff from Miami to Israel, so that we know if we want to be by a certain date, we need to go a certain number of weeks or months or however long it takes to ship our stuff. So how long in advance from Miami or from wherever do we have to ship? Does it take to ship our stuff?
So are you shipping like a whole house of goods or just a little bit?
Well, that's another question that we had, which we're hoping to have answered. We've already moved from Seattle here, and so we've downsized quite a bit.
from
And we
Right.
are gonna bring some furniture, but really limited amount of furniture, and then svarim and kitchen stuff, and that's pretty much it. Well, clothing, but we'll take a lot with us
Yeah.
too. So.
Okay, so it sounds, if, do you have an apartment in Israel already?
No,
No. Do you know the size and like square meters that you might be wanting?
well, we know what we really want.
Yeah.
We all know what we
win the
really want.
lottery, after we win the lottery, we know exactly what we want.
I mean, we're probably looking at a 3-bedroom apartment in Yerushalayim.
Okay, around what, 150 square meters, 120, 100, 200?
Halavai, yes.
Maybe 100 to 120. Yeah.
I think more
Okay,
like
so fine.
120, 130,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay, so I put this equation or this formula together a few years ago. It kind of helps to figure out how big of a shipment one person needs of boxes and furniture for a well-equipped house. You basically take the number of square meters and multiply by 8. So I know might be kind of confusing. I see some faces there, but a 20-foot container holds enough for a 120 square meter house, approximately, filling it up with boxes and furniture.
Okay.
I know. Okay, so if that helps, if you're shipping less than that, if that's just not what you're doing, then a partial shipment is probably on what you might be wanting to do. The transit time will be much longer, but if you have a container, I would say you should budget or estimate approximately 2 months or so. Transit times are changing. And the summer could be different than last summer, or this summer can be different from what's going on right now. A lot of things have changed since the war started. There's been some shipping lines that have discontinued or suspended servicing Israel, which have changed our options as far as with shipping lines to work with, and it potentially will cause price increases because it was the lower price shipping lines that were servicing Israel, and they're canceling. But about 2 months or so with a container, if you have your own container, and if you have a partial shipment, you can add on another 1.5 months to that.
A partial shipment, you would add on more time to a partial shipment?
Yes, because
Ask you why?
because we have to collect enough partial shipments to fill up a 40-foot container.
Okay,
If you have your own container, it gets loaded basically at your house, and the container goes to the port, and then it goes to the vessel, and then to Israel. Otherwise, if it's a partial shipment, it goes to the warehouse where it gets held until there's enough partial shipments to fill up a 40-foot container.
And does a 20-foot container, is that considered a partial shipment because it's not a 40-foot container, or is a 20-foot container its own shipment?
It's its own shipment. A partial shipment is anything less than your own container.
Okay.
That's great.
And around right now, how much is the 20-foot container costing?
Where?
Like from New
Where-
Jersey?
From the East Coast, it sounds like, from New Jersey.
you said New Jersey, yeah.
Okay, so right now it's probably somewhere around, like, I have to get current rates, but let's say around 10,800 or so.
Okay.
Approximately. Miami is probably about $1,000 more.
Hannah has a question.
Okay.
Approximately, nobody, we realize all these prices you're giving us are approximates.
Right.
From
Right.
Houston, 20-foot container from Houston.
I would probably say closer to 12,000 or so.
Now, a full lift from New Jersey, is that the same amount of time as a full lift from Houston? Are they both going to take about, what did you say, 2 months? Or
It really varies depending upon the shipping lines and the sailing and the delays. But I would say that they're typically from New York, New Jersey, it's the fastest. Florida is slower and Houston is slower. So I would say probably easily 2 months on the sailing out of Houston.
And the same question for a 40-foot container, Yitzhak, from Houston.
Yes. Yes. How much is that?
Yeah.
Probably close to around maybe 15,000.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's economical, I guess, 1 for 1.
Right,
if
it's
you
not
think of it that
double.
way. Not
No,
double.
it's not double. The actual cost difference between a 40-foot and a 20-foot and 40-foot from the shipping line isn't significant at all. The cost increases is due to the extra, for the labor of the packing and everything, and for the delivery services.
Right.
Mhm.
Packing and loading the container are the most labor intensive and the most expensive parts of a move.
Right. I had a
And
question for you, if I can. So unless somebody else.
Well, I just
No?
have another question, but you.
Yeah. No, please.
Is it only based on the size of what fits in the container, or is it based on weight as well?
Cool question.
That's a great
Can I just
question.
add something to your question? I remember when we made Aliyah, it was 10 years ago. The shipper that we used, they asked us specifically about how many stairs you have going into your new home in Israel, or what
Yes.
floor are you on?
Right.
Is there parking on the street? I felt like all those added onto the price tag.
They can. They can. But let me answer the first question from Mr. Dato. Weight is not really relevant for most places. Here's the way it works. There are shipping centers, I'll call them shipping centers in large Jewish communities. New York, New Jersey, Los Angeles, and Miami. In these 3 cities, there are large companies, or there are companies that are Jewish owned, and they service the Aliyah market. They also do, local moves as well, but they're Jewish owned, and they know the people, and it's part of their focus of their business. So when we work with these agents, weight is not relevant. If someone's coming from Houston, or someone's coming from Denver or Chicago or Detroit, then weight is relevant, because the local agents, like the Beacons or the Mayflower agents, people that we contract to do the packing and loading, they charge by weight.
Is it worth it for them to go to New York, like to one of the stations, like to fly to New York and have all that stuff picked out there and ship it from there, or does that help anything with your?
You mean, are you talking about like drop shipping, buying new stuff and drop shipping it, or
Yeah.
take a U-Haul?
Yeah.
Yes, some people do that. We've filled up. Yeah, we've sent many shipments where people were outfitting their homes with new stuff, new furniture, whether it's even a partial shipment or a full container. We've done that before. And they have their Aliyah rights, so they don't have to pay taxes on it. They don't have to pay duties on it, and it's a good system, because they can, they have things that they want to have, and they have a look or something that they want to have in their apartment, but they can't find that type of furniture in Israel. So for them, it's worth it.
Anybody else have any questions for Yitzhak while we have this open discussion? You're welcome to do so now, but I know that Yitzhak has prepared a deck to sort of go over some more of these points, which we can go in to. Wait, we have another question. Can you pack some food products that can't be found in Israel on the lift? That's an excellent question.
Yes, you can. You can pack things. You can pack food, or we can pack food for you, as long as it's not a large volume. I don't remember the kilogram volume, but don't bring like cases of. Hold on 1 second. Don't bring like cases of food. Just, if you've got some stuff in your closet or your cabinet or whatever, that's fine. If you want to get like whatever, even just like, I know tuna's popular, a case of tuna, that's fine. But don't get like a pallet of tuna. That just would be too much.
All right, so we have another question. I'm actually liking how this is flowing now, guys. From Shira, she's asking, we are told to have our shipment packed within the week of Aliyah, otherwise it'll cost more money. How does that whole thing work?
I don't understand that question.
Yeah, I was wondering, maybe Sherry, if you can elaborate.
That sounds like there's some sort of specific situation going on.
Yeah, basically, the Nefesh B'Nefesh woman said that it should be like, let's say your Aliyah date is June 15th, that within those 7 days, you should have your shipment packed. Otherwise, it's going to be sitting in a warehouse. That's what she said, and you're going to have to pay extra money on it. and it actually can't come into Israel to have ship, because then you have to pay more money on it and you don't get that the discount for being an Aliyah. Does that make
Right.
sense?
So that's not necessarily, I see what she's saying, and everything she's saying is not necessarily correct. As far as timing here, this is a really important subject that people ask me, what should I do about timing? It's part of the thing that I prepared, and I'll just give it to you now since we're on the subject. Timing is really important, and the person you need to ask is your spouse and your family. Don't ask me, because people have to make decisions as to where they want to live without their furniture and goods. I can give you an approximate transit time that you're going to live without your stuff. And if you have it better in the US, where you could go live with family or go travel, or you got, old beds that you're going to throw away before you leave, or whatever the situation is, then that works for you, fine. Or if you're going to go to Israel and stay with family until your shipment comes, and that's fine too. Whatever works better for you as far as timing goes. Now, so I know what she's talking about as far as getting your shipment picked up. Now, we talked about this before, about the consolidating of a container. So typically, the agents that we work with, if your stuff is in a warehouse longer than 30 days and you don't request extra storage, then you don't get charged for storage. I don't know of agents that work like that, unless they're like in Houston or Denver or something out of the ordinary. But the Miami, LA, New York agents, they don't do that, because it's not your fault, and that you don't have to pay for storage charges because they don't have enough freight to ship out a container. You get 30 days free storage in the US, and you get 30 days free storage at the port's bonded warehouse in Israel. If you request storage because your plans have changed or whatever the situation is, and you request storage, then you have to pay for storage. But if you don't request storage, then it just, even if it takes 2 months, you're not going to get charged for extra storage, for storage.
I have a kind of a question somebody brought up to me recently. Is the current situation here in Israel with the war going on affecting processing time on Israel's side? Do you know?
As of our latest shipments that have been coming in, I don't believe it's made an effect. I believe in the beginning, around beginning October 7th or so, around the wartime, there were, I believe, some delays at the port, but currently I don't believe it has any effect on processing shipments in Israel. Okay. There are some times that shipping lines will choose to unload in Haifa instead of Ashdod. And if that's the case, then the container will just come down via rail from Haifa to Ashdod. But that's just a matter of only a couple extra days and is relatively insignificant. And sometimes there are extra charges, but not very often.
Larry, Sharon, you feel good?
I feel great, but I have a question.
Oh, good. Yeah, I had a feeling. I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love talking about making Aliyah. So if we don't know exactly where we're going to be living when we have our shipment packing from here, because we won't know, because we're going to be renting and it takes time to work all through that. Is that a problem? So how does that work? You just say Jerusalem ? And that's it? Basically,
I mean, you can make up an address or use somebody else's address. But for most export documents, we just need a city. That's all. Most people don't have their landing address when they book a shipment. You're in the 99% club there.
Okay. Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Are you just saying we just update them as we get closer, if we have, or wait till it gets to Israel and then you tell them that point.
Right. So before your shipment arrives, you'll be given some forms to complete. One of them is a customs import declaration form, where you basically list in a general and vague way, depending upon the items that you're shipping and the approximate values of them. Because customs, like every government, wants to know, what are you bringing in? if someone moves to the US, when we ship people back to the US, they have the same form. It's just US Customs declaration and, US Customs form. So that's one form. Another one is a power of attorney. People are alarmed. Why should I do a power of attorney? Power of attorney allows us legal access to get your stuff from the court's bonded warehouse. It's important. Otherwise, you have to get it, and you don't want to do that because that's why you hired someone to ship your stuff for you. So power of attorney is another thing. And then very commonly, there's a delivery description form, like Marcy mentioned, which lists your address and stairs and distance from parking and elevators and all those different types of things. These are the places that you put the address on. I don't need to have an address beforehand. And if you don't have one and you need one for some reason, we could just make one up. Just use somebody else's address or whatever.
And on this on the customs declaration form, how detailed does it need to be? Because let's say we're doing a lot of the packing ourselves. Let's say we decide to pack much of it ourselves. Do we need to list every single item, or is it just a general description like pots and pans and clothing and stuff like that?
So customs likes to have general things like books, clothes, kitchenware, other vague general things like that you have a lot of. You just put down a value for that. However, if you get to furniture, they want to know a little bit more specifically, what furniture pieces are you bringing in? And they want to know a value and the time that you've owned it. And it could be approximate. No one's going to check up on you, how long, are you sure you owned it for 17 years and not 20 years or whatever? It's not that important. And then when they also want to know electronics. These are the three categories: general things that like clothes and kitchenware and books and board games or whatever. That's just an amount per category. Furniture, list that, and you'll have your inventory to work off of. You don't have to recreate the wheel. And even if you were to forget something, it's not like it's the end of the world either, because it's just what life is like. So furniture, the amount of years you have it and the value, and electronics, the years and the name and the make and model. As much as you know about it, the better.
We have a question regarding that from Mayan Yitzhak. I think Marcy was about to cover this, but she's asking a good question. What are you basing the value of the purchase price? Is it, how much it costs to purchase in Israel? Is it how much they purchase?
So for the customs form, I was told by a number of sources that you can use garage sale pricing.
Oh, wow. And that's heavily discounted, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, if you say you've got $500 worth of clothes, or $800 worth of books, or, $300 worth of kitchenware, these are reasonable values that customs not going to, squawk about. If you say I've got $5 worth of books and $5 worth of clothes and $5 worth of kitchenware, they're going to say, well, let's go take a look at your shipment, and then you got an inspection on your hands. So there are values that customs accepts as normal and reasonable, and there are customs, we wouldn't actually let you submit a form or complete the form with customs with values that are not reasonable. That will be red flag values for customs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does actually. Somebody is asking a question of Eva here regarding what about insurance purposes? Heard someone had their goods stolen. Maybe you can elaborate with your question of Eva. I don't know if you have the ability to, unless you understand what she's getting at, Yitzhak.
I know that sometimes not everything gets to the destination. It is part of life. There's a huge volume of shipments going on, and there's a huge volume of just transferring and things like that. Most times the shipments are returned from the house on a cube van to the warehouse. From there, they're typically loaded directly onto pallets and then shrink wrapped. How they get misrouted to other people or not show up at all, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. Are things stolen? I mean, things that are missing are not necessarily things that are, high ticket stolen items. Like I remember one lady, she was missing some tablecloths and some doilies or something like that. some things in the kitchen that it's not like anybody really wants those things. But I would imagine that theft does happen, and thank God it doesn't happen as a common event.
Yitzhak, can I ask you, I'm wondering, because two people asked about the insurance, if what they are referring to is putting a garage sale tag on the item, insuring it for less, then it gets stolen and they're not covered for that.
Oh, that's a great question.
Okay, so the garage sale pricing that I was mentioning, that's only for customs forms. Only for customs forms. If you are completing your insurance application, you need to use values. You need to use replacement values in Israel. That is what you're supposed to use. Replacement value in Israel. If you put down values that are lower than that, that is technically known as underinsured, which in insurance language, it means that you're taking upon yourself the obligation to insure or co-insure your goods for you. And if there was a claim, chas v'shalom, then you would not necessarily get full compensation because you accepted if I see heads nodding, so it's kind of a crazy concept, but if you get it, that's great. But either way, you should use full replacement value. And I understand that it's really hard to know what full replacement values are in Israel. It's so I just say, just do the best you can, and that's really all you can hope for. And thank God, I mean, we do about, let's say, on the average, around 100 shipments a year, and we probably have 2 to 3 claims a year. So thank God, I don't think it's significant, but things could happen, and things do happen.
I just want to add that Aviva said here that some of the things aren't even available in Israel. So if they want to insure it and it's not even here.
Right. So in that case, just do the best you can. And like sometimes people have got sentimental things or memorabilia or artwork by their friend or something like that has a value or that has a sentimental value. You can't really insure high value things for sentimental items. You can't say, well, that's $1,000 painting when it's your neighbor's next door's daughter who did it in kindergarten, and you just happen to think it's really awesome. It's just not going to work like that. So you just got to do the best you can with what you have available.
In the meantime, I just want to go over, Sharon, you mentioned if you want to pack some of your goods. Again, when we made Aliyah 10 years ago, our shipper told us, do not pack anything. What is the rule for packing?
The rule for packing is you can pack if you want to, and you don't have to pack if you don't want to. I think, insurance companies like to tell you not to pack anything because, and I'm sorry, shipping companies will tell you not to pack anything. That way, if there's a claim, then you'll be covered, assuming you insure it. However, the things that most people do pack are things that aren't particularly breakable anyway. If you pack your clothes, or you pack sforim, or you pack linens, or you pack books, what's the likelihood of these things being broken or a claim being filed? It's just not likely. It's practically speaking, it's silly to say that, I think. I mean, that's just the way I operate. However, if it comes to dishes and things like that, if you want to pack those things and you're really good at it, then you'll probably be fine because you're good at it. But if you're not good at it, then don't pack it. Let us pack it because our guys will do it every day, all week, all month, all year for years on end. And they know what they're doing and they have good supplies as well. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. Can I ask, is it the same price? Is it an additional fee for having it packed?
If we go to someone's house to pack, no, it's a standard door-to-door rate. How's that? It's a standard door-to-door rate. Most Aliyah shipments are like this. They're door-to-door. They are full packing service. So shipping works. International shipping works like this. There are industry standard global services. Doesn't make a difference if you're in Winnipeg, if you're in Council Bluff, if you're in, Germany, if you're in whatever, England, it doesn't make a difference. You get the same basic services. Industry, you get full packing services with all the supplies, all the boxes, and everything is provided for you. It also works on the assumption of reasonable moving scenarios. Like, let's say 2 flights of stairs is reasonable. Going 3 flights of stairs is pushing it. It's much harder on the crews to do 3. Go up 2 flights, that's fine. That's pretty okay. Or if they have to park down the block, or if they're in a condominium in Florida or something like that, and the parking is on the other side, and they have to go past the swimming pool and down the palm tree walkway and up the elevator into the service elevator and down through a couple buildings. That's a long distance, and that's not normal. That's an abnormal amount. So there are different things. Parking, see what else I haven't, the weight of things like a piano, or sometimes people have got very heavy safes. These are not normal products. A box of dishes, a box of clothes, even a couch. These are normal things. These are what people normally ship. But when you exceed those normal things, then that's when extra costs are incurred. And just like you mentioned earlier about your delivery situation, how many stairs? What's the distance from your parking spot? These are issues that could be above and beyond that people commonly don't consider when they're looking for an apartment. They don't say, oh, we're 35 steps up from the ground floor. That's going to be an extra amount of money for our delivery. Well, it is. Unfortunately, it is. Because like 32 steps or 32 steps is 2 flights of stairs. And so that's just going to be a little bit more. Or parking. I really love my apartment, and I really like my walk to my apartment in Mali Dumim or wherever it is, through the nice gate and the nice yard. But that's a long walk, and the crew doesn't want to have to walk that distance continually for 3 hours for no extra money. And that's just what it is. So there are normal, reasonable shipping scenarios, and there are things that are above and beyond. That's the way international shipping works. Again, like I said, most Aliyah shipments are door to door with full packing services. Sometimes people are either looking to save money, or they're in situations where it's more advantageous for them to bring their stuff to a warehouse, let's say in New Jersey. Let's say the cost of shipping from Pittsburgh is ridiculously expensive compared to the cost of a U-Haul bringing it from Pittsburgh to New Jersey. It's maybe a 5-hour drive or something like that. It just saves them thousands of dollars, because in Pittsburgh we have to use a different crew, and then the trucking from one point to another is an extra $500, and the crate that it goes into is $200, and so all these extra charges add up. So typically.
So that was sort of where I was trying to go with my question.
Yes.
Is it sometimes in people's better interest to actually drive their stuff to a different, if they're not too far away, to a more popular site?
Absolutely. Like our New York, New Jersey agent, they're based in Elizabeth, New Jersey. They service all the way down to Washington, D.C. And up north as far as, I don't know, maybe New Haven, Connecticut, or some other place up north a little bit. They don't go to Boston anymore, because Boston is just really a difficult market to work with. But basically they cover quite a large swath of land. They even go to Allentown, and I think they even gone to Harrisburg. So beyond that, radius of driving, it's advantageous that it could be advantageous for them to just bring the stuff to the warehouse.
What if you have some stuff at a nearby storage unit and you have stuff at your home? So is it the same rate to have the packers go to both locations?
No. No. I'll tell you, almost anything that can be done as far as your shipment goes. If you've got special needs, you've got storage needs, you've got an extra pickup, you've got an extra delivery. You don't have room for everything in your apartment in Israel, and you've got to you got to put some stuff in storage too. Anything, just about anything is available for your shipment. It just costs extra. So if you need an extra pickup, that basically breaks up the flow of the cruise rhythm of the day, and they have to go to another place. So they're going to charge for that.
Mhm.
It's not significant. I mean, everything's relative. Maybe $300 more for an extra pickup. You know, depending upon the location. Sometimes they'll just do it if it's just like down the block, you know. So it really depends upon the situation of the distance and the volume of how much more is to be picked up at the other location.
Now we're asking these men to do us an extra favor, maybe go to this storage unit, go to that storage unit. What is expected for these men? Are they expecting lunch when they're there? And this is just something, and I'm saying this now because when you get to Israel and your lift arrives and you don't know anything, I hear this question all the time being asked on Facebook. How much should I tip the delivery man? What should I have? Should I be having pizza for them? I've always been told Turkish coffee, have lots of coffee or kumkum in paper cups. So what should be there for them?
I think typically if the crews are there for a long time, the customers commonly will buy them lunch. The guys probably eat more pizza than they probably would like to, but that's just what it is. They won't say anything, but they do expect tips. So it's not unrealistic.
What's considered a realistic tip?
I don't know. Let's say if it's a small shipment. Let's say it's a small shipment. They're in and out in 3 hours. There's 3 guys. I don't know, maybe $15 a piece.
Wow, that low.
No,
I
okay.
don't know. I'm not spending other people's money. If people are more generous, kol hakavod, you could be more generous with your money.
I understand, but it's a good point Marcy's bringing up. That it is something to take into consideration. Make sure you have something on hand to be able to tip.
Yeah.
We have another question regarding the rates that you quoted. I want to kind of move on to the segment with Marlene soon. This is great, a lot of great questions, but the question here is, you can see it yourself. If you see what Mayan's asking there, did the loose rates quoted include insurance coverage? In other words,
No.
15,000.
No.
No, okay. So if you
there is no insurance. There's no. Let me just say this real quick. There's no insurance with a shipment as is. When people move like interstate or intrastate moves within the U.S., the carriers will commonly have insurance. This does not exist in international shipping.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have insurance, then you're taking upon yourself the risk of your own self, or the risk that if something breaks, you know, that you're okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last question here from the chat, at least, about sharing a lift with another family coming from the same community. What are your thoughts? And Robbie, you have a question as well? Let's hear Robbie while we have him live.
Okay, thanks. Hello, Yitzhak.
Hi.
So we are here 10 months already. And just to add, if I could take a moment and put my 2 cents in here, Dave.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We sent a small shipment from Seattle. It was very small. It was about 4 feet square by maybe 7 or 8 feet tall. And now I have a house in New Hampshire where I have a lot of Svarim, and I'm thinking of shipping them. I'm thinking of selling the house in New Hampshire and shipping my Svarim here. And I'm wondering if you could advise as to whether or not that makes sense. Or should I find Svarim here to be very expensive. And I've got all this stuff that's purchased already. Does it make sense to ship it or to just leave it in America?
I would say
it would ship out of probably, since I heard the range you said that your New York, New Jersey shipper is. So I would probably ship it out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Whatever I'd like to know what you think about that. It would be about maybe a few kitchen, couple of boxes of kitchen stuff too. But we purchased virtually everything here, and we found that to work out quite well. We bought all our furniture and appliances here, and maybe it's because I'm particularly good at that kind of practical thing, but we had a very pleasant, easy time of it. And so for people who want to know, should I ship my furniture or buy it in Israel, I just recommend buying it here. But I also wanted to mention one more thing, Yitzhak, before you answer, and that is that I'm an electrician with about 40 years experience, and I see all kinds of questions get raised about bringing electrical appliances here. And if anybody, and sometimes those questions can get quite complicated, complex. And I find that people tend to go to Facebook for answers, and that's the worst place to get, answers about, I see the strangest answers being given about electrical questions in general on Facebook from all the Facebook experts. So if you want to just give out my phone number to anybody that needs it, I'd be glad to answer questions. I do it a lot anyway already. So don't
Post
think
post your number on the chat here, Robbie, for sure.
Oh, okay, be glad to. I will. And so that leaves me with the question, Yitzhak. I'd have about maybe 10, 12, 14 boxes of books to ship here. What do you think?
There is an alternate, more cost-effective way to ship them. It's kind of like opening up a can of worms with this thing, so prepare. Okay, so
I'm aware of that. I think you're going to mention the post
Okay.
office.
okay, no, not the post
Oh, okay.
office.
Then
Okay,
I'm listening. Go.
Okay, so we spoke about the international shipping experience, right? We talked about, industry standards of shipping and things like that. So also within the world, there's things that get moved around and shipped that aren't household goods. People in manufacturing are shipping things all over the world on a continual basis. In fact, statistics are really hard to find, but there are about 20 million containers in rotation on a regular basis. And just because I have it in the thing here, on the average, there are around 3,000, maybe 3,500 containers that are lost at sea every year. So I don't think that that's a big concern out of the 20 million. But okay, getting back to shipping commercial goods. So there exists shipping networks that are very, very much like FedEx and DHL and UPS. Instead of shipping boxes and cartons and single onesie twosies from place to place, they ship pallets of stuff. So the minimum billing volume is 35 cubic feet, which is, let's say, around 20 book boxes, approximately. So something like that might be good for you. Typically, it's a warehouse to warehouse drop off. You have to drop it off in New Jersey, and you have to pick it up in Ashdod. You seem like an industrious guy, and that might work well for you. If you've been here for a while, then maybe you have a car, or you have access, or you know the system well enough that you can get something and pick it up in Ashdod. Something like that typically is around $1,000. Port fees are around maybe 300. So around 1,300 is warehouse to warehouse pricing.
Okay.
It's more labor intensive, and it's hard for people who don't know the language very well. Not that you need to know the language, but because everyone in the shipping industry speaks English to some extent. It's just more labor intensive.
Okay.
That help?
It sounds very clear. See if they said.
He's muted.
Okay.
Let's get back to
can you
Mayan's
hear me?
question.
We do have a request, Robbie, for you to please post your contact information in the chat. Robbie?
Will do right away.
All right, that'd be great. Marcy,
great.
what was that, Marcy?
I wanted to get back to Mayan's question. So what are your thoughts about sharing a 40-foot lift with someone from within your community?
Yeah.
Illegal. I think it's illegal.
So what do you think of it is the question. No, it's illegal. Yeah, absolutely. I do feel like we've covered quite a bit here. This was excellent. Really appreciate Yitzhak, everything that you were able to share with the group here. One last or two, any last questions while we're here?
Question.
Okay.
What about shipping cars?
Shipping cars is something that can be done. Most people don't realize that the import duties for Olim Chadashim are around 75% of the value of the car based on Carfax.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the discount. That's the discount Ola rate. If you're Stam Israeli, you have to pay like 100%, something around 100% duties, and they're restricted to manufacture within 2 years of the shipping date or whatever it is, within 2 years.
Mhm.
It's not something that people commonly do. Usually the duties scares them away. However, we have shipped a number of them. There are a number of requirements. You have to get a letter from a garage saying they can work on it. You may have to modify, you may have to make modifications to the car. I think typically it's the change of the headlights. And there's just other administrative processes that are involved.
Okay.
So it's Nefesh B'Nefesh definitely discourages it, because I think they just figure that you have enough on your plate already. Don't get involved in something that's going to make things difficult. Plus, you have to keep the car. I think you have to keep the car for 5 years, or if you don't keep it, you have to sell it. What used to be called passport to passport, like from one Ola to another. So that makes it even more complicated.
And Sydney is saying here that parts are generally not worth it. As maintenance is much more complicated as well. So
There
okay.
you go.
Yeah.
The authority has spoken.
All right, listen, I want to thank you, Yitzhak, for all of that, of course, for everybody, fantastic. That was very informative. Thank you, Yitzhak.
Well, it wasn't structured, but it was good.
Yeah, and I know it's great. It was great. We had a totally different approach, but this was fantastic. So now I know that we're coming up on a full hour. So please stick around.
Wow.
We do have
Yeah.
some great information here. It is tightly related, I would say, closely related to shipping. But now we're talking about what you can expect from your new home in Israel. So Marcy, I'd like to just ask you if you could tell us some basic information about, either homes or apartments here in Israel, and then of course to hand it over to Marlene.
So what many people don't realize when moving to Israel, how different it is from the US. I don't know if anyone here is from outside the US, but basically in Israel, when you buy or rent a home, expect the home and nothing else, basically. There are no appliances included, and people don't realize there's no refrigerator, no washer, no dryer, no oven, no stovetop. So be prepared when you come to Israel to really, when we say furnish your apartment, you need to get appliances as well. And this is where Robbie might come in because he can speak, share a little bit, and no closets. That's right, Sydney. So where Robbie can share with us a little bit about voltages and transformers. I have heard some horror stories of people bringing American refrigerators and trying to run it 24/7 on a transformer. I would not recommend that. I have noticed even small things like a mixer or a food processor. I feel like it doesn't work as strongly as it did in the US, even though I use it on a transformer. Okay, back to apartments. So there are no closets, no oven. For your light fixtures, sometimes just expect a wire and a light bulb. And that's it. So when we talk about furnishing your home and what to bring, so know that you're going to have to from soup to nuts. Another thing I want to speak about before you even, when you start looking for a home, again, whether it's a rental or you're purchasing, Israel doesn't go by the number of bedrooms. So if you're looking for a 4-bedroom apartment, you will see ads saying a 5-room. There are rooms in the apartment, we'll say 3 bedrooms plus the living room kitchen. That's another room. So that would be considered a 4-room. So it goes by rooms. Often I've noticed from Americans, they say, oh, that's a 4-bedroom. And I'll say, no, 3 bedrooms plus a living room. So it's just something I wanted to bring up while you're house searching. One last thing is Arnona. Arnona is basically like your property tax. And yes, property tax is transferred over to the renter. And that is something you'll pay every 2 months. We'll even get a discount for the first 2 years. And again, just wanted to make it aware to all of you that it is a tax that is paid by the renter. Often I hear, but I don't own the place. Why should I pay it? It's a little different here. So I just wanted to share some of these points. Excuse me. And Marlene, if you can talk to us a little bit about maybe someone who's not planning on bringing a lift or a partial lift and furnishing here.
Okay, well, I felt like all the information that was given up until now was like so helpful. And it's important to take into consideration all the different ways to do it. And definitely, as you were saying, things are very different here. And the biggest thing is that the house spaces are much smaller than anything that you would be used to, even in an apartment in the US or in Canada. And so most of the time, the furniture that you're thinking you're going to bring, because, you know, it's going to make you feel like, you know, home, or it feels good, or it doesn't work in the apartments here in Israel. It's just too big, and it's overwhelming the space. So I think it's really important to consider that, you know, like maybe you don't know where you're going and you haven't purchased something yet, but for sure, everything is a lot smaller than anything that you're used to in the States. So you need to take that into consideration, and you know, maybe think about when you're maybe like Marcy, you know the sizes of the houses that you're showing, and maybe it'd be worth it to sit down and kind of work out the dimensions and the layout plans to see if what you have is really going to work, because most of the time it just doesn't. Like, for example, I'm looking at Alexander Becker, and he's sitting on one of those big, comfy, big couches that usually won't fit in a regular apartment here in Israel. It's just too overwhelming. So I know that's I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but you know, it usually you have to, somewhere down the line, purchase new furniture that works for the apartments and the sizes here. The other thing that I want to say that I think is really, really important. So I made Aliyah 25 years ago, and I'm pretty sure probably the feelings, and I loved Israel. I was super Zionistic. I couldn't wait to get here. But landing here and making that transition, no matter how much you want to be here, is not easy. There's so many, it's a culture shock. Even if you come to visit often, living here is very different than visiting here. And, you know, it's getting used to so many different systems. So I highly, highly suggest whatever you really you're not really attached to, don't bring. And it's worth it to take the time, even though it feels very overwhelming, and you probably have 101 things going on right before you're making Aliyah, and you might not have the mindset for it. You really should take the time to really declutter and get rid of as much as possible, because doing it here, once you land, is a nightmare. It's not going to work. So come with the things that you love and you absolutely want. The things that you're not sure about, make sure you pass them on before you get here.
Can I just say, Marlene, while we were preparing for our Aliyah, David, he came up with this little term. We were slimming down the house.
That's
And
right.
anything we could get rid of, slimming down the house.
That's exactly, and we're still sort of doing it to this day, by the way. Constantly slimming down the house.
Decluttering is always a good thing to do, because it makes, you know, I'm an intuitive, I'm an intuitive based person. So like, it always opens up the space for something new. So I would never stop that. The other thing I want to say is about the electricity. And I know that there are places in New York, at least there were when I made Aliyah, where you could actually go and buy the appliances, small appliances and big appliances that accommodate the electricity here. So that is another option. I don't know what you guys think about that, but maybe that's a way to get the discount and, you know, as making Aliyah without, you know, having to come here and tackle all of that once you get here as well. You're muted, Marcy.
Okay. Yeah, that is a good idea if you want to have everything purchased before you get here. The only other thing is if you buy it in Israel, you will be covered under warranty. So you buy
Right.
a refrigerator, and if about covered under warranty, if your refrigerator shows up or your oven, do not plug it in. You must wait for the technician to
don't even
come.
unbox it. You shouldn't unbox it. You should, if you unbox it, then you don't have the warranty. You need to
You
just
voided your warranty. So we made that mistake, and we have a little issue with our oven door after 3 weeks. And they told me, no, you installed it yourself. Unfortunately, the appliance store didn't tell me I had to wait for like someone to come in and install it, which is really just pick it up and plug it in, but leave it in the box. Yeah.
I think that there's something else I want to bring up at this point because I was not used to this when we first made Aliyah. For people who may not know this, the houses are not insulated, right? So, Marlene, you know, want to talk about this a little bit? Like, it's cold in the winter. We bundle up with like hot water bottles and things like that to stay warm, and it's just a different phenomenon. In America, you're used to like being in a house that's cozy when it's cold out. Here, it's not quite like that, and then you know,
Yeah,
so just something to think about.
Right. I don't think I've ever seen a hot water bottle before I came to Israel. And now I love these things.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
think
it.
it also depends on where you land here, but for sure, like I'm in the center of the country. So I'm north center and I'm close to the beach. So when it gets cold, even though it doesn't get, you know, our winters are definitely not like the East Coast winters of the US, but because of the sea, even in my, you know, even in this area when it's not really that cold, it's chilly. It's colder in the house than it is outside.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I have a new house with good, you know, good insulation for Israel. So yeah, there's so many aspects of it, and you know, it's worth it to kind of sit down and just take the time to kind of maybe do a furniture layout and really think about what it is that you're going to bring over on a lift. And if it's not better to wait till you get here, like Robbie did, and buy everything once you get here, because the things that are here are more accommodating for the lifestyle that's here also.
Right. Right. It's actually pretty surprising. In Israel, there's all these great places that you can find, you know, that sell fantastic furniture, great stuff. It's not like a third world country where you can't find things. It's Israel's developing. We're finding more and more options all the time.
So I wanted to talk about that for a second. I know that we're over,
Yeah.
we've been on for a while. So I just wanted to say one more thing. You know, you can really furnish your house on any budget that you have. So let's say you decide not to come with a lot, you come with a minimal amount and you need to get a lot of stuff once you get here. There's a lot of different options. So if you're on a really tight budget, a great opportunity for you would be Marketplace in Facebook. And you can get the most amazing things, almost brand new, and at a very, very good price. And you can furnish your apartment very nicely like that. Another thing would be the flea markets. Now, I like the Haifa flea market better than the Tel Aviv one because the Tel Aviv one is too expensive. But these are great options. You find amazing things. And then, you know, there's different places that you can shop. Like if you really want to save the money, but you want to buy new stuff, so you go to southern Tel Aviv and you pick the right, you need to pick the right streets. Like for example, there's one street that's just for furniture. There's one street for lighting. There's one street for appliances. So in doing that and doing the extra legwork, you can definitely save a lot of money. And you don't, you don't have to do IKEA or whatever. You definitely, and then there's higher end stuff as well. So you really can put together a beautiful home on a small budget also, with being very creative as well. I think that's it.
Okay, great.
Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
So I think we're looking at living in Yerushalayim. That's where we are so far thinking. And so to go into Tel Aviv to get appliances or whatever we're going to get, would we have to rent a truck, and would the cost of a truck rental offset any savings that we would get going to Tel Aviv?
No, I think, first of all, a lot of people, there are plenty of places in Jerusalem, but if you want to save the money, you're going to probably get your stuff delivered, whether you're purchasing it in Jerusalem or you're purchasing it in Tel Aviv. So you're paying for the delivery anyway, and it's usually the same price unless you're going up a lot of flight of stairs and you don't have an elevator or something like that. So no, I think, I don't think the delivery offsets the savings by any means.
Right, and we have Sydney here chiming in saying that there's awesome places to buy in Jerusalem anyway. So
For sure. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, that.
yeah.
That there
Yeah.
isn't. I'm just saying that you can definitely, there are certain places in southern Tel Aviv where it's significantly a lot less expensive than any other place in the country.
Sure, and if the expense is not necessarily one of the things that's a consideration for you, Marcy, what's the name of the place right outside of Ma'ale Adumim?
D-City, Design City. It is a fabulous, what would I call it? Disney World meets Las Vegas in Israel. Shopping experience for furniture.
For furniture, everything furniture.
Yeah, I just want to go over, Larry, you asked about going to Tel Aviv versus buying in Jerusalem. You said appliances. I think what Marlene was referring to was just buying like good deals on furniture, not necessarily appliances. Appliances, you probably want to get local, find a nice shop. You're probably going to go in and out quite often over there.
Or there are
But
plenty of
lighting
places
also.
there are places online as well, Marcy.
Yeah, online too. And
if you know what you want, I'm saying.
If you know what you want. When you're new here, I think it's good to come in, look around, feel, and check it out. We did have a question about the flea market in the chat. Like, what kind of items can you buy? Where is it in the Haifa flea market?
Really anything, really, literally anything. I was there over the weekend, and there's furniture. And by the way, if you Shomer Shabbat, so you could go on Friday and you still, because Saturday really is the best day there for a lot of vendors, but they're also out on Friday, and there are places that are open all the time in the flea market during the week. So you can get furniture, you can get lighting, you can get plates and cups and cutlery, art, books, anything, clothing, like it's endless.
And these vendors are not just selling used secondhand things, it seems. They're also selling new?
No, I would say that everything is definitely secondhand there,
Oh.
but there's like, for example, I was there Saturday with my son, and he's moving into he's moving from Tel Aviv to Hofo Carmel, which is not far away from me, and he needs to buy new furniture for his new place. We bought a couch in the flea market for like, I think 1,200 shekels, and it's amazing.
Oh.
So definitely it takes a little bit, if you like that kind of stuff, it takes a little bit more time, but I love that. So you have to decide, if it's worth the looking and, and the trip.
Also, some communities will have a secondhand shop as well. Sometimes they'll have furniture there. And Marlene, you mentioned this already, but Facebook Marketplace, we've even bought a dining room table off of Facebook Marketplace. I find that Israelis, they like to get rid of things, and it's usually in new condition when they kind of get rid of it. The new season, new holiday, they change it all up, and you can find some
Yeah.
good deals there. Where is the flea market in Haifa? How do we find it?
It's, so you could just say flea market in Haifa if you put it in ways just like that,
Okay.
and it'll take you right there. But it's in they call it Ir Tachtit, the lower city.
Okay.
But
Good to know.
if you put Haifa flea market, it'll take you right there.
Okay. I think maybe at this point, Marcy, and everybody else. Yeah.
If we have any other questions, have we covered it all?
Hi, guys. If you'd like, I could make a couple of comments about the electrical.
Sure.
Mhm.
Real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, both things that Marcy said were actually very, very on the mark. If you bring lamps from anywhere in the world, really, it doesn't matter. You know, like floor lamps, desk lamps, things like that. All you need to do is change the plug and the light bulb, and they will work universally in Israel. That's all it takes. So that's a good thing to know, because a lot of times people have lamps that they love. I have a chandelier that I like in America that I might actually wind up shipping here. I'm not sure.
I have to ask you about that. The 220 versus 110 doesn't make a difference, Rob?
Nope, not on lighting.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Not on
Very,
lighting.
very cool
Except
to
for
know.
LED. The LEDs, the bulbs have to be appropriate for Israel.
Right. I get that. But that's
So
interesting.
an LED fixture that doesn't have a light bulb in it that you
Mhm.
would buy in America probably wouldn't work here, because that's rated for 120 volts, and here we've only got 240. So that's a bad idea. But you know, like I meant, like the old style standing floor lamps or desk lamps, things like that, where you screw in and out a light bulb. Then all you have to do is change to an Israeli light bulb and change the plug. That's all you got to do.
Mhm.
And in terms of the other question about refrigerators and transformers, definitely do not plug a refrigerator into a transformer. It's a bad idea. And TV sets will not work that come from America. They will not work here because the cycles doesn't match. Sydney mentioned that. The cycles don't match up. In America, they use 60 cycles. Here it's all 50 cycles, and you will get a blank screen.
Very cool to know.
Robbie, I wanted to ask you, I bought GE washer and dryers, and I just felt like they didn't work as good as they did in the States.
Did you buy the 240-volt ones from?
Yeah,
that were
but
meant
like
for
the quality of GE there and the performance of the ones that we got, because we got everything, including small appliances in New York, and sent everything on a lift. It just didn't work as well. It just and really I'm very happy with all the appliances that I have here in Israel.
Yeah, we are too. You know, my wife loves the refrigerator we bought here. And the GE, I couldn't answer you without. I have a friend who's in the appliance business in Queens, and he knows all about that stuff. So I could inquire for you if you'd like. I'd be glad to, look into it.
Robbie, did you
because
see? Sorry.
Yeah.
We have some questions here. What about a Yamaha digital piano? Would that work here?
Probably not. If they wanted to call me and send me the plate on the actual appliance, whatever it is, it could be a musical instrument or an electrical appliance. I could answer that question if I saw the plate.
And we have the question about a nebulizer also.
Same thing.
Same thing. Okay,
Same
yeah.
thing.
So
It
just take a
really
picture.
depends.
Just take a picture and WhatsApp it over to you.
Yeah, of the spec plate, of the
Of the spec plate.
specifications plate, and I could answer it appropriately and accurately that
So
way.
we have a question about computers and monitors. I believe that both of those should work, right? As long as you have an
100%.
adapter.
Cell phones, computers, monitors, anything digital is pretty much no problem. The reason being that they operate on low voltage, so you have to have a plug adapter, but other than that, the brick, if you know what I mean by that you
Yes.
plug your cell phone in with, or even a laptop, let's say, that brick does the conversion for you automatically. And it is a transformer, but it's not Marcy's kind of transformer.
No, that brick can weigh like, 10 pounds easy.
Not really. It's about a pound.
I don't know. It depends on, the transformer
The
we have
one
in our kitchen is humongous.
Oh, I'm not talking about the transformer for the kitchen. I'm talking about the one for the laptop.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Oh, yeah, the little
Yeah.
guys, yeah.
And those make all the proper conversions for you, no problem. We brought 4 laptops and they all work perfectly.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Um,
So
I thought of a question for Yitzhak. What are things people cannot put on a lift? Now, I think grills or something.
Is he still
Gas
with us?
grills.
Yeah, he's there, right?
You're on mute.
Where is he? I'll see if I can help him out
He's
here.
on mute, but I think he can't hear us. He's signing.
Okay, yeah, he's signing. All right.
Okay, I think gas grills, but I mean, I could be, you can't bring them, right? I was wondering if there's anything else important to know that people cannot bring. Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, this has been good, but we're going long. I'm always worried about going too long with these. Anybody else have anything else they want to ask? We have the people here can answer these questions. So grateful for all this information from Marlene, from Yitzhak. Nope.
Okay.
All right.
Yitzhak, maybe if you just want to put your contact information in the chat, if anyone wants to reach out to you.
I don't.
No, we hear you now.
I don't know how to. I'm working on my phone. I've never used this phone before. I don't even know how to use it.
Okay.
It's technology
All right,
again.
just contact us at aliyahNetworkEvents@gmail.com. We can, if anyone's interested in Yitzhak's information or Marlene's information or anything else, or have any questions, or if there are any topics you'd like us to discuss, please aliyahNetworkEvents@gmail.com.
Yeah, and Yitzhak, we are recording this, so if you want right now, just give yourself a little plug about how to reach you.
Sure. AliyahLift.com, AliyahLift.com. That's our website. There's a click to chat, so you can connect with me via WhatsApp there. It goes straight to my cell phone. And YS, as in Yitzhak Sasson, YS@AliyahLift.com is my email address. Phone number is 305-850-7717. That's a US landline, specifically just for you.
Fantastic.
Great. Thank you, Yitzhak. Thank you,
All right.
everyone, for joining us.
And thank you, Marlene, for sending your details over. At Marlene, I can't read here, z-design.com. So she's an interior designer, intuitive interior designer. She's fantastic. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And for anybody who has not yet made Aliyah, we send our blessings, our brachot to you, to have this process go well. We're all living in dreamy times. I mean, just having Sharon and Larry here, my second parents, essentially my bar mitzvah teachers. Yeah, with us, it's really touching.
We love being here. I feel like all of our worlds are coming together here.
Hopefully we'll be there next January.
Bezrat Hashem.
Can't wait to have it. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
thanks, guys.